As Nigeria deepens efforts to strengthen its investment climate and legal framework, experts are calling for a more coordinated approach to implementing the national policy on arbitration and alternative dispute resolution. At the 2025 annual conference of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators Nigerian branch, themed Connecting the Dots, core principles, innovation, and meaningful outcomes in ADR. Legal minds, policymakers, and industry leaders gathered in Lagos to discuss how innovation and collaboration can transform Nigeria into Africa's arbitration hub. The chairman of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators Nigeria branch described the conference as a flagship event that underscores the importance of the public sector in driving effective dispute resolution frameworks.
It's our flagship event, and then we're starting with this public sector initiative, and it is very important. I mean, the public sector drives a lot of things, drives investments, and so you can understand how important it must be. And the topic they've chosen about the national policy on arbitration and ADR is also very important. Interestingly, most of the speakers have looked at it from the point of mitigating risks of dispute avoidance instead of dispute resolution. And it has come out so clearly how important we need to work on not just having dispute resolution, but having dispute avoidance and avoiding risks and mitigating risks. I mean, there's so much that the country can save if these risks are mitigated. So many different types of negative occurrences that can be avoided, like the P&ID case, like those trying to take our planes, take our houses abroad. You know, all these things can be avoided. And a lot of the messages coming out boldly today is that there's a lot of work for the public sector to do to avoid all these things. I mean, you can imagine how much we could have lost in the P&ID case, billions of dollars, you know. So I think it's very important that we should be having this conversation, but not only that we have this conversation, but that we take this conversation beyond this place. And I hope we're going to be able to do that.
Delivering his remarks, the immediate past Attorney General of Delta State described the policy as a crucial step towards building investor confidence in Nigeria's justice system.
It's a very important policy for Nigeria as a country because in order to attract investors from overseas and even within, you need dispute resolution systems that are neutral, that are trustworthy, that are efficient, and that lead to enforceable decisions. So this lays down a framework where the federal and the state governments can have a system that leads to predictable outcomes, and that only bodes well for the investment confidence that investors place in Nigeria.
Other stakeholders at the event said the policy could reposition West Africa in the global arbitration landscape.
It would be a very great advantage to West Africa because Africa seems to be losing a lot on arbitration, particularly when it comes to investment. Initially, most of the investors don't have faith and confidence in the African system. So when they come with their investments, subsequently there's any breaches, they run to the West, particularly the UK or Paris, where they settle for. But until recently, with the Mauritius, Rwanda, and Johannesburg, that's apart from West Africa, these countries are making a lot of grounds. So with the new policy now of the arbitration into West Africa, it's a new jurisprudence which we want to implement and ensure that we build capacities within our sub-region and get investors' confidence. So in us doing our contract, subsequently, we'll have an ultimatum. Instead of going to Europe, we can settle for West Africa, and that will develop our legal minds and develop our economies, build capacity as we move on.
Yes, the policy is very critical for all arbitration and ADR practitioners in Nigeria, and also the investors. We have been trying to ensure that Nigeria is a preferred country of arbitration, and that we use the word seat, that Nigeria is a preferred seat for arbitration. So with this policy, if properly enforced, we will attract more business in the area of arbitration in Nigeria.
Experts agree that the success of the national arbitration policy will depend on government commitment, institutional synergy, and continuous investment in ADR practice. Okbayemi Owosheni, TV360 News, Lagos.